one coming through. When the growth look good on you, best believe they wanna screw now. I've been trying to climb, devil threw me in the dark. Baby, don't be insecure, you can still go make a mark like blow. Could never let them drain my soul now. Blow. Table turning like doorknobs, wow. Blow. I think I'm about to set sail. I'm a walking, living legend, walking with my chest out. Life keep dealing me cards, I keep fitting in love.
Big up to everybody. It's G, you know the vibes, you know the damn ties. We're here, England versus Bosnia match preview. Guys, as per usual, man, make sure you smash the like, make sure you share, make sure you subscribe. It is going to be an interesting summer. Of course, we've got the Euros coming up, right? You know, we've got a lot of football coming, and then we've got the Copa America as well. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see who the winners of both of these tournaments will be. Of course, we've still got the summer transfer window. You know, a lot of teams are going to be looking at, you know, a lot of these players who are away on international duty, you know, in the Euros and in the Copa America. Prices are going to be inflated, you know, teams are going to be asking for dumb amounts of money and, you know, etc., etc. But we're here, and I said I would, you know, if I can anyway, I said I would try and, you know, follow England throughout this tournament. Heck, that might only be 3 games. I know, right? You know, with England as well, you never really and truly know. They could have a fantastic tournament, make it all the way to the final. You know, we're sitting here and we're saying to ourselves, wow, you know, that's really, really good. You know, England are, you know, exceeding expectations. And to be honest, even, you know, just taking a quick look, you know, at England, you know, in general, and I think, you know, once they've announced their final squad and, you know, they've got these 2 friendlies, first Bosnia, and then they've got Iceland on Friday. You know, once they announce their final squad, I think then we can really take a preview, you know, at England. But if just to kind of, would I say, go into it a little bit, I would say England are going to be heading into this tournament looking for a win. You know, looking to come out as victors, if I'm being honest with you. You know, they've got the talent. And I think that's kind of always been, you know, England's problem, you know, throughout all of these tournaments, is that you've got the talent, you know, you've got the players, you know, you've got this player who can play in this position, that player, you know, you might have one of, or if not the best strikers, you know, in world football, or you might have the best midfielder, or the, you know, all of these different kind of things. But for some weird reason, it's just not, you know, England are just never able to, you know, win. Like it's really just as simple as that. They're just never really able, you know, to win. And I think that's the annoying part, you know, when it comes to England. And, you know, when we're looking at, you know, their group in a general sense, you know, in their group in Germany, you know, they've got Denmark and Slovenia and Serbia to play in their group. So, like, if I'm being real, and again, with no disrespect to those teams, England should be looking to advance from that group. I'm not going to say comfortably, because it's tournament football at the end of the day. So I can't sit here and say, yeah, they're just going to breeze through 3 victories, 9 goals, you know, none conceded. That would be great, obviously, for England. But, you know, I'm expecting tough games within those. You know, I'll be honest with you. When I'm looking at it, I feel like all teams, Denmark, Slovenia, and Serbia, can give England a tough time. Do you know what I mean? Like, because the way that England just are, and, you know, the way that they might, you know, potentially attack this kind of tournament. But, you know, we'll have to, you know, of course, wait and see. So I wanted to get, we'll go straight into, you know, kind of like my predicted lineup, you know, for this game. And I say my predicted lineup because I don't really know when it comes to Gareth Southgate what he's trying to do, but this is more the lineup that I would like England to kind of go with, and I'll kind of, you know, explain it, you know, as I kind of go along. So in goal, of course, I've got Pickford in there. Of course, I've got Pickford. Don't really see any point in trying out any of the other goalkeepers that have been added to the provisional squad. You know, I don't really see a need, to be honest. Pickford will be the #1 goalkeeper who'll play every single game, unless England are heading into that 3rd game and they literally do not even need a win and can still guarantee top place. Then, yeah, you know, I don't see the point in that. We'll start off at right back. So I've gone with Trent Alexander-Arnold. Now, I want to see in this, you know, you guys can obviously see on the screen. I want to see a bit of an experiment with these squads. I'll be honest with you. I'm kind of tired where, for me, if you pick a provisional squad and you've got friendlies coming up after that, especially when you've got 2 friendlies, in my eyes, you're picking a provisional squad. One, you know, just in case, you know, some players, you know, might potentially get injured, and you want to know if certain players who are injured, like a Luke Shaw, for example, will they be fit enough? Because if they are, you want to bring them. If they're not, then of course you've got your replacements already bedded in, right? But also, why not see some of these guys play? Too many times England go away on these tournaments and they have these, games, these friendlies before these tournaments, and they never ever play anybody new. So you're seeing the same. It's basically more or less, maybe like with one addition, potentially here and there, but you're always kind of playing the team that you'd want to play, obviously in your first game, kind of thing. And where I say somewhat get that, so to speak. On the flip side of things, I'm like, so what's the point of bringing in your Adam Whartons, your Cole Palmers, your Gordons, and people who might be on the, would we say, quote unquote, periphery, of the actual squad? Like, you might as well bring them, see what they can do. You don't have to play them for full 90 minutes. I mean, if they're playing really well, then you would, but you can change things around. You want to see, because listen, I'm going to assume, I know Gareth's a smart man. He's the England manager at the end of the day, and so he clearly knows what he's doing, right? I'm sure he kind of knows, if everybody was fit in this provisional squad that he's got right now, he kind of probably knows what team he wants to put out there, right? Like, I'm sure he has an inkling of, okay, this is the team I'd want to play, etc., etc. And he probably has his next, would I say, 11 players. It's really probably like 4 or 5 players that he might look within that and say, okay, maybe this guy, maybe that guy, and etc., etc. But then, of course, that's why he's picked, was it 33 players? So if you've got these players, mate, use them. Use them. See what they're like. See what this player is like playing with certain players. See what this player is like playing, alongside certain players. We'll get into like players like Adam Whartons, but who's never played for England. If you're gonna call him up, let's see what he's like. Can he even hack it at this level? Don't want to throw him in at the deep end and find out he can't even hack it, and we needed him to hack it. Like, let's try him out. Let's ease him into it. Whether he starts or not, it is what it is. This is just more kind of what I wanted to see, so to speak. But I just would prefer if and it's not just Gareth Southgate. England have been doing this since I've been watching England, since the '98 World Cup. Every time we have friendlies, I never see anything different. It's like the same team. And I'm like, so why did you bring this guy? Like, is it just to kind of give them some type of recognition? I don't feel like players are dumb like that. I feel like they would understand, like, yo, like, if you're not going to play me, then I don't need to be here. I could be on my holiday right now, getting rest for the new season. Do you know what I mean? Which is obviously more important than, me coming here and not playing and potentially not even being close to being picked for these kind of squads. So yeah, man, like, I would much prefer to, to see some of these players play. But at right back, I've gone Trent Alexander-Arnold. Obviously got Carl Walker, obviously, in there, who can play, but I would like to see Trent there. I know we've had this debate, Trent in midfield, and I know he's been placed as a midfielder, which I totally understand. And again, I would totally understand if he does just slot him into midfield from the get-go and say, yep, that's your position. But I just think in this kind of game, especially because when you look at the other players on the pitch and the runners that he's got, I think best position for him will be at right back. Trent is at his best when he is playing on that in that right back position, and obviously, again, under Jurgen Klopp anyway, who's obviously left Liverpool now, he gets that freedom. Once he gets that freedom to spray those passes, when you've got runners and good players like a Gordon, like a Watkins, again, basing it off this season, they're in form. They've been playing really, really well this season, and they've had really, really good seasons. These are the kind of players you want in and around. You got a Watkins who can finish. Yeah, he misses chances, but he's more clinical than the striker that he's currently playing with, at Liverpool. He's got a left winger who's probably been the best left winger in the Premier League this season. Get these guys running, and they're both relatively quick. So, why not have someone like Trent, on that kind of side, right? But again, I will totally understand if you don't want to do that, and etc. etc. I guess if he could do many things, he could just do the wide right thing, which I think is his best role, which is the role that we then started to, coin, that he is then the best, or the most, the generational right back and all these kind of things, the best right back in the world and blah. He done that from right back position, not from inverting, not from coming into midfield. And I know everybody wants him to do that, and they think, yeah, if he comes into midfield, he's going to do this, he's going to do that, and XYZ. Again, I don't know if you could do it or not do it, but I know for a fact I've seen Trent at his best at right back. I've never seen him at his best in any way, shape, or form in the midfield. Are you going to experiment with that in this tournament? Maybe, because you've got Carl Walker there, so he might be your starting right back. Maybe it's just to kind of fit him in the team and his abilities, his passing, which is obviously his number one attribute. Then maybe so. But for me, in a game like this, I kind of want to see this. And again, it's just more based around the other players that I'm playing, on the pitch. But that's what I feel like, managers would do, right? Next up, you got Stones and Gay. I think Maguire won't be fit for this game. I'm not 100% sure, but from everything I've read so far, and again, I'm recording this on the Friday before, but I think Maguire might not be fit. So if not, then I would probably go with John Stones as the certified centre back. Now I've gone with Gay, and I probably should have switched them round and put Gay on Trent Alexander-Arnold's side, because if Trent does go on those walkabouts, Gay is almost in that kind of mold of what Konate is, which is strong, typical, kind of stereotypical, the strong, fast, good in the tackle, good in the air as well. But he's also actually decent and comfortable on the ball. So you don't have to really worry about him when he does get into those wide areas, whether he's going to kind of panic and, all that kind of stuff. And I do feel like he is relatively comfortable defending in those, wide areas, so I wouldn't mind him being on that, on that right hand side as opposed to John Stones. I've just put it up here just because I was doing it really, really quickly. So yeah, you could swap those two around, have John Stones next to, Joe Gomez. And again, I've gone with Gomez out there on that left back. England don't have a left back. I mean, I wouldn't even be bringing Shaw in the first place. I don't understand why he's coming. He's not really played that much football this season. If I don't even know how many games he's played, as it is this season. Don't think he deserves to be called up, regardless of whether England have a left back or don't have a left back. I'm sorry, but you're going to have to bring in someone else. You're going to have to fit someone else into that position, because these are the kind of messages that when people start looking at, the senior national football, they're going to start sitting there and thinking to themselves, well, what's really the point when he's only going to pick their favorites all the time, even if they don't deserve it, even if they're not playing, even if I'm playing better? Doesn't make any sense to me. I've never understood the kind of mechanics behind it, but I know it's a lot more political than what I'm saying, right? But I would go with Joe Gomez. For me, he's been one of the best left backs this season. Definitely, probably. I mean, I can't think of another English left back. I mean, Chilwell has been absolutely atrocious, this season in the games that I've seen him play. Outside of that, I can't think of any more. So, I mean, you got Trippier, but again, injury prone this season, barely, not really played that many games, a bit out of rhythm and stuff like that. So, I think Gomez for me is like the easiest choice to put there in the entire back line. If I'm being honest with you, I can't see who else is he going to put there. And again, we know how Gareth Southgate is. So am I going to be surprised if he put someone else there? No, because I know how he is. But I'll be shocked if he put someone else in that position. But we'll have to wait and see. Now, in front of those two guys, I've gone with Declan Rice and Adam Wharton. Rice, I think that one's kind of self-explanatory. I do also need to see, some players who are going to be in the team. As I've gone with Pickford, I've gone with Rice in there. Those two are going to be the players that I think are guaranteed. John Stones as well. So I feel like those are kind of guaranteed to start in England's first game, right? So need that anyway. But I think Rice alongside Wharton. Now Rice is kind of, I know we call him a six, but he's been more like a hybrid 6 and 8, somewhat this season. And I think that kind of role suits him, kind of on that left and or right hand side, whichever side you really want to put him on. It just kind of depends, I guess, who's next to him. Now I know in the start of the season, in the start of the Euros, it's going to be, Jude Bellingham is going to play in one of these three positions in the midfield, right? That's absolutely fine. No problem with that. But I do think in a game like this, again, let's see what Adam Wharton can do. Adam Wharton, he's been really, really good since he signed for Crystal Palace, in January. And I think, why not give him a go? Why not test him out? Why not see what he can actually do, in this kind of game? Because he does look like he's comfortable in possession. He is a box-to-box midfielder. He can get around, the pitch. He's got a decent passing range as well. He's someone who's got bundles of energy. And also as well, he has got a calmness about his game. He isn't someone who's just quite erratic. He isn't someone who might just get into a challenge and then has to pop it off. No, he's comfortable in possession himself. We've seen that under Glasner, at Crystal Palace. He has got that comfortability within his game. So I'm sitting there thinking, why not try him out? I mean, you brought him in for a reason. Again, otherwise, don't bring these people. Just sort out your squad and leave it at that, and maybe add a few extras just in case of like injuries in certain areas, and then leave it at that. Let's play Wharton. I really, really would like to see, what he's like and the kind of role that he would give him. But where you've got someone alongside him, who's a lot more senior in Declan Rice, I also think that would help him. Obviously, Declan Rice is better than any other midfielder that Crystal Palace has got, respectfully. So again, will that also potentially elevate his own game, playing alongside someone who's really, really good, someone who's deemed to be one of the better midfielders in the Premier League at this current moment in time? I think so. So again, play him alongside there. I think the role that he could potentially be doing in this kind of system is whether you want him to just sit deep and kind of just mop up play, whether you need his energy to be that box to box midfielder, and he can maybe potentially alternate between himself and Declan Rice. I feel like that is the perfect kind of role for him. Put him in there and let's see what, of course, what we can do. Now we've got the front four. This one's bloody interesting. So I'll start off with right wing. Again, I don't know if Saka's going to be necessarily available for this game specifically. So again, we'd have to, of course, wait and see on that. But even if he is, I'd still try out Cole Palmer. You got to realize Cole Palmer, in my opinion, he's been one of the best players in the Premier League this season. Signing from Manchester City to Chelsea. There was a lot of talk about him. I think everyone knew that he was like a good player. Like, he's got talent. Yeah, that's probably the right way to say it. He's got talent, but you just don't really know as to where that talent is going to take him. Is he going to get enough games? Is he going to be allowed to play his game? Now, everyone says, oh, he scores just loads of penalties. Ultimately, you still need someone to stick those in the back of the net. Do you know what I mean? And if you took away his penalty goals, he still scored a fair amount of goals. And he's got quite a lot of assists, this season. So again, another player I think thoroughly deserves to, be given a chance at the bare minimum, to be able to play. So I would be playing, Cole Palmer in there alongside of Phil Foden. Now, the reason why I've gone with those two, and you can actually swap those two if you wanted to, Foden out on the right, Palmer, through the middle, whatever you want to do. Maybe you put Foden out on the right, actually, because he'd be better defensively if we needed, someone to be able to track back and track the runners and things like that. Something I don't think Palmer is really that good at. But and Foden is obviously better at that just purely because he's at Manchester City, right? But those two can always swap, always. And I think that gives you a bit more fluidity within this kind of system, with also Anthony Gordon out there on that left-hand side. As I said before, the best left winger this season, bar none. I can't think of anybody who's been even remotely close to him, this season just gone by. So for me, I'll be putting in, Anthony Gordon in there. And I feel like that front three between them can all rotate, and they can rotate really well. If you need Foden to go out to that left-hand side, I feel like he can do that and he won't have too much problems. And then you've got Gordon playing in behind, or potentially as a support striker or second striker to Ollie Watkins. Now, I've only gone with Ollie Watkins purely because I just want to see Ollie Watkins play, start off a game and see what he's kind of like. Again, let's see these players. We keep bringing these guys and they never play. And then we all sit there like, oh my God, like what's going on? He's coming on in the subs. He barely did it. Bro, just play these guys, man. Let's just see it's a friendly at the end of the day. I don't really feel like, unless you play poorly, I don't feel like the result's going to matter that much. It's really about the performances of the players, the fitness of the players, how they gel together, who looks good, who can play in what position, are they comfortable in that position? I feel like that front four can all rotate. I've seen Ollie Watkins, he likes to drift out to that left-hand side. Okay, not a problem. You can have Phil Foden, potentially dropping into that false nine role. You can have Gordon, who then moves into that, that striker / false nine role. You can see, Cole Palmer again moving into that. They can all rotate with, amongst each other. Now, obviously, Watkins is more going to want to stand up top and, do his thing. But he is someone who does like to have touches of the ball. I always feel like he's not going to get so much involved in play, but he is someone, when he does get the ball, it's like he likes to always hold on to it. Like, I want to keep the ball. I want to try and get a shot off. And that's absolutely fine because, it's a bit like old school Harry Kane. Harry Kane always, when he gets in and around these areas, he ain't passing for absolute nobody. Do you know what I mean? He's just going to go for goal. And obviously that's Harry Kane. So he's, he can do that because he's got the ability to do so, right? But also Gordon and Ollie Watkins, they're runners. And that's what I mentioned about, playing someone like Trent Alexander-Arnold, who's able to spray those passes, those cross-field passes into space. I feel like it'll be absolutely perfect, for him. And you're keeping that defensive stability with Adam Wharton and Declan Rice, who are obviously way better defensively than a Trent Alexander-Arnold, as opposed to putting in Trent in that position and asking him to be defensively switched on. Obviously, he's going to have to be defensively switched on anyway from that right back position. But I'm just talking more from an attacking sense. I feel like that could really, really work, for him. How much license you give someone like a Trent, that's going to be obviously down, to Gareth Southgate. But again, this is where you're then saying to either you're going to put Rice in that position and you say, okay, between Rice, Stones, or sorry, Rice and Gay, for example, you guys are going to have to potentially cover Trent because I want him to be able to roam up and down as a wing back effectively because that's been his best position, right? So I want him to be that kind of wing back where he can, fizz balls across, kind of thing. I don't necessarily need him to be drifting into midfield. Obviously, at times, yes, when England are in possession, that might be needed, but I don't feel like England are gonna they're not like Liverpool under Klopp. I don't feel like England play in that kind of way where we always need like a third person or a fourth person kind of in there. So we need Foden to drop back in. We need, Trent. I don't feel like he plays that way. Whether that's the right way, I don't know, but I don't feel like he's gonna do that. So in my eyes, I'm like, you can just actually have him as a wing back and have Joe Gomez as a fullback. It is really and truly that simple. Just keep it as simple. Play them in their positions. Let them do the best jobs or the roles that they are best at doing. And I feel like you'll start to see, results. And again, if you need Trent to play fullback, so to speak, he can also play that role as well. But still, he's going to be offering you those passes. When he sees a pass, when Gordon's making that run from out to in, boom, perfect. When Ollie Watkins is peeling off of the centre back and he's in space and he can get that, he can do that. And in my opinion, it'll be easier to do that from the right back position. When he starts moving into midfield, I don't know. Like I said, I know he's got him down as a midfielder. So I'm assuming he's going to be playing midfield, right? And again, I'm going to be so intrigued to see how that works out. I'm hoping I'm proven wrong, by the way. I'm hoping that I see Trent in midfield and he just looks like the next coming of whoever, kind of thing. That would be amazing for Trent because that's the position he wants to play in. But it's all going to depend on the role and what, the manager's obviously going to be, asking of him. So again, it's really just about experimenting, getting players to do certain jobs, certain roles. And again, it's a friendly against Bosnia. It's not as if we're sitting here, in a situation whereby, this is a must-win game. Now we can try things out. Heck, you know what? Start Trent at right back, put him into midfield in the second half. How about that? Wharton's not really having the greatest game. We're not really getting too much in terms of creativity, from the midfields, to so to speak. Okay, no problem. Put Trent in the midfield in the second half. Like it can always be changed. Like it can always be changed. But I just want to see more experimenting than just the same old boring dead football and with the same dead players. Well, not even dead players because they're actually really good players, but you know what I mean? Like the same thing over and over and over and over again. And we're all sitting here complaining and etc. etc. Like I'm kind of just bored of it, man. I'm honestly just bored of it. So yeah, that's kind of my England team. That's the team that I would personally, go with. Let me know, of course, in the comment sections, what you guys think in regards to the team, who you guys would like to see and stuff like that. I should be back with a match reaction for the game. So obviously I'll speak with you guys then. My prediction for the game, it's a friendly. I think England will run out winners, maybe 3-1. Maybe let's sound like a 3-1. But again, I'm gonna be more critiquing the performances of these players. I'm really gonna be watching to see how these players perform as opposed to the scoreline. Obviously, if the scoreline can match the performance and it's a great performances from some of these players, and then they're winning 5-0, okay, great. Then you know what I mean. Then we can. It gives you a bit more optimism. It gives you a bit more optimism, man. I feel like when like England head into these like tournaments and stuff like that, I almost feel like obviously there's going to be the optimism because you're like, oh yeah, we've got this player and that player and blah 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 blah, and that's all great. But then it almost feels like once one player is either playing badly or gets injured, it's like all hell breaks loose, and it's just like, yeah, we're not good enough, or we're not good enough against these kind of teams, and that's going to be another thing that England are going to have to worry about. Again, we'll go through that in the preview to the tournament. But that's going to be one thing to definitely look at is that how are England going to cope coming up against certain teams? Serbia, Denmark, and Slovenia are going to play differently to each other. How are England going to be able to cope with that? Maybe we'll see something in these games against Iceland, and Bosnia. But like I said, people, let me know in the comments what you guys think in regards to the England game this evening. I say this evening, but when this video comes out, it'll be this evening. Let me know what you guys think. I'm G. That is the match preview done and dusted. We out.